three projects. We have street paving, about $300,000. Diamond Run Intercept, $300,000. And Marcus Road Culver for $380,000. Now, until those bids are let out, I'm not quite sure what the impact's going to be. But they
we have that budgeted in our fund. And that's the money the council allocated for those projects. And how much money was that? That was a couple $1 million, $2 million.
Before we continue, I'd like to remind you of the 3 minute time for public comment. Appreciate it.
Mr. Kale, the problem is, how are we going to know if you don't have fair competitive bid? How are we going to know if you overrun to there? I appreciate your question, but you're putting someone on the spot.
I'm just saying, okay, we had an $8 million capital improvement fund. We allocated $2 million for that for capital improvements. Is it $2 million or is it $3 million?
Is it $2 million or is it somebody who's not a union bidder? Is it $1.5 million? I
don't know. That's the question I'm asking.
Never know.
And should we do anything on this until we find out the impact that has on our $8 million?
Well, I think Mr. Clark and I addressed the impact that this ordinance will have, and that has had on neighboring municipalities. That this ordinance has decreased the overall cost of projects, A, and B, has decreased the need for change orders typically run up the project.
Again, I request your sight on that. I asked you before you danced around it. Show me the numbers. Show me the numbers. I'm a resident here. I request the numbers. If you say there's an impact, fine. Let me see it. And until then, let's hold this off until we know what impact this has on our $8 million.
Thank you for your comment, Mr. Kale.
Thank you.
Your name and address for the record.
My name is Nick Salmon, 345 Peter Road. I just want to know if from 2010 beginning, present, did you receive any money from the unions?
In what respect, Mr. President?
In your campaign?
I'd like to say that this isn't a campaign.
Well, it could be a campaign issue, right? I mean, look, you don't care. You're sitting up there. Now, one of you people up there know exactly what that ordinance said, but you're going to vote on it. And it's going to cost this township money. You're saying all these municipalities right now, it works well? Well, check with someone. Maybe you want to call Conshohocken, okay? Maybe you call Abington. It's not true. I bet you these costs are going to go up 30%. Okay? Answer the question. Did you receive money from the unions from 2001 to present? You won't answer that question because you know it's right.
And Mr. Salmon, I will say though,
you will say nothing. It's nothing.
This board tried. I don't know how it was ran in the past, Mr. Salmon, but this board has no room for politics. All this kind of politics. The election last year, Mr. Salmon.
Yes.
Are there any other comments from the audience? Come forward and give your name and address for the record, please.
728 North Plains. First of all, what happens with one township and what happens with another are never the same thing. So if that's comparing apples and oranges when you compare White Marsh or Conshohocken or something with Plymouth. No two townships are alike, and no two are going to work the same. That's first of all. And once again, you're trying to ram it down the throats of the residents of Plymouth Township like you did last month. And we went through this last month, and you voted for it when there was a lot of discussion against it, and you should have maybe tabled it until you could research it further, because it came up again this month, and you're trying to shut it down. The residents votes again, and you're going to hurt Plymouth Township yet, and end up with a lawsuit, which is going to cost the taxpayers.
My name is Frank Watton, 1231 Woodside Road. This ordinance isn't a union, non-union issue. It's about having trained people and people with a track record. Like we brought up last month, the prison adopted this ordinance for its project, Montgomery County Prison. And 3 out of 4 contractors are non-union because they fit the criteria. So this does not exclude non-union. It just gets companies that have a training program that is certified by the state. Any company can affiliate themselves with a program that will do that. It doesn't mean they have to go union. They can be both. So all that talk is really not true. Thank you.
Thanks for your comment. Any other comments from the audience? Hearing none.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bernard Briggs, 316 Nottingham Place. I testified last month. Came to
316 Nottingham Place. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Then call me on the audience, please.
and I commended this board last month on their leadership in considering passing the first passage of this ordinance here. And although I will agree that the ordinance is quite lengthy, Mr. Clark, I can't recall you mentioning the word union or non-union that would apply to you. So is that true that you didn't mention? Does the ordinance mention union or non-union?
No, the union does not have a reference to union.
Okay, and I didn't think it did. And, I heard some comments from some folks that were here in the audience here tonight that make it sound as if being in a construction business isn't professional. You kind of learn through the generations and kind of on-the-job training. And I mean, in my opinion, construction is just as professional as any industry. I mean, would this board hire an engineer that never went to college for engineering? Probably not. I don't think you'd hire a solicitor that never went to law school. I mean, I don't think it should be any different for your construction work and protecting your capital investments in terms of construction projects in this township.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the audience? Give your name and address, please, sir.
Rob Gassatelli, 975 Plymouth Road. I just have one question. I have heavy equipment. Okay, to meet the criteria, how do I get operators on my equipment? How can I get an apprentice program?
No, I don't.
You don't know, do you? The only way it's going to be met, is with the operating engineers. Are the operating engineers union?
Mr. Pascal, your question was...
The question is, I'll clear it.
Okay.
The question is, how do I meet the criteria for heavy equipment operators?
You can participate in the Class A apprenticeship program that is currently registered with the...
That's fine. Okay, you can keep reading that. But who meets that criteria?
I don't know.
The operating engineers. The operating engineers are the only ones that meet that criteria. Are they union? There is no certification for operating equipment right now that meets the state requirement. There is no program unless you are an operating engineer. So how can I meet that criteria? I have to hire
you. You can hire somebody who's going through the apprenticeship program. They don't necessarily have to still be in the union. They don't have to necessarily still be in the union. They could have gone through the apprenticeship program and received formal training. Right now, how it sits is somebody can get into your head. Let me finish. Now, you have an opportunity to talk, sir. Just let me finish. Right now, you could hire somebody who's never operated heavy equipment before or may have limited experience operating heavy equipment before. In fact, their last job, they could have poured concrete or they could have done landscaping, and now they can get into your heavy equipment, piece of heavy equipment, and go build a rain garden in one of our parks, or go build a stormwater retention basin in another project within the township, and not know what they're doing. And that could cause liability for the township, and that'll drive up costs if your workers have no idea what they're doing. That's what this ordinance helps protect. It helps get skilled people.
You're not answering a question. You're answering a question for me.